are live. Hello and welcome back. I'm here with Arby from
Hi.
Empirical Water. Am I saying it right?
Yeah.
Empirical
Um,
Water. How'd you come up with that name, by the way, Arby?
well, it all started from my tea blog called Empirical Tea, where I like
Okay.
to post my experiments with tea storage and also some
Okay.
old water recipes that I made.
Okay.
So when I was thinking of names for empirical water, well,
Okay.
my new water that I was making,
Uh-huh.
uh, it was a natural just continuation of my sort of empirical brand.
Okay.
So at the time, I was really just thinking about water for tea,
Okay.
uh, because I wasn't drinking coffee that heavily at the time.
Okay.
But as soon as I kind of figured out the initial like foundation of what makes
Mm-hmm.
good water for tea, I
Okay.
was pretty much able to immediately transfer that over to coffee and continue my iterative process for developing my recipes. Like you'll see on
Okay.
the glacial bottle,
Okay.
on the glacial profile, you'll see that it says like version 1.5.
Okay.
So that's referring to my iterative process, um, which basically means that I'm coming out with new versions on a semi-regular basis because I'm always trying to do whatever I can on my end to just
Mm-hmm.
improve the water and just make it work as well as possible for coffee and tea as well.
Okay, so my question for you is, how do you get into coffee water in first place? As you know, markets are pretty competitive, right? We have perfect water, we have third wave water, and also we have Lance's Lotus water as well. I believe another company too. So why? I mean, why or get it? What's the concept behind? You know what? I want to get into water market.
Yeah, well, I never really wanted to get into the water market.
Okay.
Um, here's kind of the simplified trajectory of
Uh-huh.
what happened with me.
Okay.
So when I first started brewing coffee around
Mhm.
2016, when I was about
Okay.
16 years old, I
Okay.
was using reverse osmosis, and
Okay.
then I found that by reading online, I was like, oh wait, RO might not be the best water that I could use. Like apparently people are saying that water actually matters.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, what do I need to do here to do a better job of getting water for my coffee?
Okay.
So I looked online and I was like, oh, third wave water, like this is super
Mhm.
popular, everyone's using this.
Yep.
I might as well try it.
Mhm.
And I mean, that was like a night and day difference from RO
Yep.
to third wave water.
Mhm.
It was a big leap. Um, I was just able to taste so much using third wave water that I couldn't taste with RO,
Okay.
which was like really bland and kind of thin.
Mhm.
So that was not doing well for my coffee.
Okay.
However, at the time, my mom was like basically buying third wave water for me to use it for my coffee,
Wow.
and I was like, I have to stop making my mom pay for this stuff.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, so what options are there for making your own water?
Mhm.
How can I, you know, um, pick up the load a little bit here?
Okay.
So I found Barista Hustle, and
Yep.
that was like recipes of Epsom salt and baking soda,
That's
which is
right.
like really simple, but at least you have the really basic parts covered, which is the
Mhm.
hardness and the alkalinity. It doesn't really take into account anything else, but at least you have the hardness and the alkalinity
Mhm.
both taken care of. So that was where things got like to go from there to a more um, like like a more complete approach.
Okay.
That's where I was at a loss because I didn't know anything about mineral water. I
Okay.
didn't know anything about like if you bottle a natural
Mhm.
mineral water, because this is what all of this is, you know, um, indirectly based on. Like before third wave water, before, perfect coffee water and all
Mhm.
this stuff, we just had like tap water, which is, in a way natural mineral water.
Yep.
We had spring water, etc. So I wanted to figure out what was missing
Okay.
between like making these super simple recipes with just a couple of ingredients.
Okay.
What fills the gap between that and a complete mineral water that includes uh, all of the, like essential components? So I didn't know the answer to this. So in a kind of last ditch effort, after like not really finding the answers that
Hmm.
I needed in coffee blogs, um, at the time, I was super heavily into tea. So
Okay.
somehow Google was able to find me this search result, which was a
Okay.
blog called Tea Secrets.
Okay.
Um, and the author of that blog basically mentored me into being able to make uh, like full-fledged, uh, complete mineral water
Okay.
in the style of naturally occurring mineral water. And
Wow.
with him, we basically we worked together, and like we basically learned that you have to use calcium, magnesium, chloride, sulfate, and bicarbonate ions,
Okay.
as well as I don't think I said it, sodium, and you can
Okay.
also use potassium.
That's right.
Uh,
Sodium. Yeah. I got a question
so
for you because,
yeah,
okay, what about someone using espresso machines, right? Because as you know, calcium is not good for the boiler.
yeah.
So
Um,
go ahead.
so if I was to make one mineral profile specifically for espresso,
Yep.
for people who are worried about calcium and would just rather
Hmm.
never have to descale,
Yep.
then I would use magnesium carbonate in my water.
Okay. Okay.
We haven't really gotten into this, but
Okay.
um, it's not just about using calcium, magnesium, et cetera, et cetera. It's about using the right levels of stuff.
Okay.
And when you're using these mineral compounds, they come in pairs. So it's like
Hmm.
magnesium sulfate,
Yep.
magnesium chloride, calcium
Hmm.
sulfate, things like that. So basically what I'm doing that's different
Hmm.
from anything else that's out there is I'm using calcium carbonate, which
Okay.
is a source of calcium that doesn't get you chloride or sulfate. Now, I do use chloride and sulfate in my water, but
Okay.
what I'm doing is I'm basically drawing enough hardness from uh, calcium carbonate, that I'm not getting like a ton of chloride and sulfate with my hardness. I'm getting about 35 to 50% of my hardness from the carbonate form, which is calcium
Okay.
carbonate.
Okay. So people doesn't understand hardness. Can you explain in layman's term what is hardness?
Hardness just refers to like calcium and magnesium.
Okay.
So that's kind of the primary, what I like to call the primary flavor extractor. Now I
Yep.
know that there's been recent studies. I don't know if they're like uh, complete in any way. I don't know if they're exhaustive in any way, but the claims that have come out from those studies is that minerals don't extract and have no impact on extraction. I'm not a chemist, so I'm not going to speak on that. So when I say that I think of calcium and magnesium as primary flavor
Okay.
extractors, I don't mean that in a literal way. I just mean that
Okay.
when you use calcium in the water to brew your coffee, then something is happening there that's bringing out more flavor. And
Sure.
the explanation is, none of my business. I just do what works.
Okay. I mean, so whatever works for you, you share that with other people out there. So that's good. That's really good.
Oh
So
yeah, so I
go
wanted
ahead.
to finish the answer on the espresso water.
Okay. Yeah.
So I mentioned that I would use magnesium carbonate
Yep.
in my espresso water if I were to make a dedicated water for espresso.
Hmm.
Now, the reason for that is because magnesium doesn't scale the way that calcium does. So you're not going to see, layers of scale forming inside your boiler. You're not going to see, scale deposits the way you do with calcium.
Okay.
So now that's a theoretical. So I don't actually make magnesium only water, and that's because I think that calcium is just too important to leave out. I think that when you
Okay.
leave out calcium entirely, the espresso and coffee and tea and whatever, it just kind of lacks that sweetness and that punch. Magnesium brings something else to the table. It's super important to have in water. In fact, um, I've tried making waters that only have calcium,
Hmm.
and it's just not right. Like it's just not balanced. So, I mean, the same thing goes for using water that only has magnesium. So, that's just not an approach that I use. I like to include all of the mineral ions that make for good coffee. So what I do for my espresso water is I just use my glacial profile,
Okay.
and while that does have calcium in it, the overall hardness of the water is so low that you can basically um, brew for like I don't know, like a year. I mean, for me,
Okay.
I brew several shots a day,
Okay.
so I've now come up on about 1500 to 1500 to 2000 shots over the course of the last like year and a few
Hmm.
months of owning my latest espresso machine.
Okay.
And I still haven't descaled it, and it does happen to be a La Pavoni. So
Okay.
every morning when I fill that thing with water, I look inside and I check with a flashlight.
Okay.
And when I first got that machine, it had no scale whatsoever
Hmm.
because the previous owner was using um, like an espresso profile water, which wasn't using any calcium, so it was completely clean. What I've noticed with using the glacial profile in that espresso machine is that it does scale a tiny bit, but it doesn't scale the way like a hard water would. So what I'm saying is, if you look at the inside of the boiler and check with a flashlight, right now what you'll basically see is like a super thin white residue
Hmm.
that just like it just falls off. It just like it's like powder, you know? It just comes off. So it's not something that forms big chunks of scale and then gets caught and like
Hmm.
breaks things. So my official recommendation with the glacial profile is descale once every 1000 shots. And that's being pretty conservative because as I said, I'm like well past that. So what I'm doing with my machine is I'm basically using it as a as a testing ground to
Okay.
see how many shots can I pull with these constant, boiling cycles, having the water scale at high pressure and high temperature. How many shots can I pull before I'm really seeing something that requires a descale? Um, Basically anything that involves like a
Mm.
three-dimensional piece of scale, that's telling you you got a descale, and I
Okay.
just have yet to see that. So yeah, I mean I have the citric acid ready,
Hmm.
um, but I'm also keeping an eye on how things are going, and I'm just gonna keep using it until I see, okay, this is the threshold for when you have to descale. And so that's been my approach so far.
Good. Okay, so I got a question for you. So so you sent me this package, right? So you sent me a 4 bottles and small bottle as well. So this is what your beginner's package or what we got here?
Um, this package here, this is my bundle. So
Okay,
this
your
has had
bundle.
a few
Okay.
name changes
Okay.
over the last few months. It used to
Okay.
be called the Coffee Champions Bundle for Better
Okay.
Brews. I
Okay.
thought maybe that would like pique interest or something. I guess it
Hmm.
kind of worked. But then I realized that for SEO,
Okay.
basically people are searching best water for coffee,
Yep.
and I realized, wait, if I want to, like, I can't run ads because, like, I don't know how to run ads, and I've tried it,
Okay.
and I totally sucked at it.
Mm.
So, I figured I have to rely on SEO to be able to, um, get at the top of the search results without paying for ads.
Okay.
And yeah, based on the keyword research, best water for coffee and best bottled water for coffee were the
Okay.
keywords that made the most sense. So if you check the website now, it says like the best water for coffee empirical water bundle. Before that, it was just called the empirical water bundle. So yeah, I just want to make clear that like
Okay.
I don't intend to like pat myself on the back and say that like, oh, I made the best water for coffee or whatever. It's just like an SEO thing. Um,
Okay.
so
Okay.
yeah,
So
that's the beginner's bundle
okay.
that comes with like everything, every important product in the empirical water lineup that is then slashed to like a 32% of the actual price.
Got it. Okay. So how do you use this? Let's say I have a Glacier 1.5. Okay.
Yeah.
So how do you use this?
So that bottle with a light blue tab on the side, which this is what you're holding.
Yep.
Um, Anytime you see this light blue tab, that means
Okay.
that's ready brew water. It's just like bottled water that you would buy off the shelf, and it's ready to put into your coffee machine or into your kettle or however you're gonna brew. It's ready to go.
So this one is all ready to go.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is all ready to go. So this one. Okay. So the blue bottle is ready to go.
Yeah, light blue
What?
bottle ready to go. The dark blue bottle is concentrate, and you have to mix that with the buffer, which is the little dropper bottle, and then
Yep.
dilute that full thing with distilled water.
Okay. Let's see. Glacier. Ah, I see. So blue bottle. Okay. So so this is the concentration,
Hmm.
and then you're gonna put the this liquid into the small bottle,
Um,
correct?
no, no. So
Okay. Go ahead.
can we start with the brew water, and then when it's time to build from concentrate,
Yeah. Let's start with the.
I'll give you the step by step.
Yeah.
Because what I like to do is I like to have people use the ready brew water first because
Okay.
it doesn't require any mixing steps.
Okay.
So it's like totally like you can't make any mistake with it.
Yep.
So once that bottle is empty,
Yep.
then you can use that bottle as the mixing container, actually. Like,
Ah.
so imagine this is empty. You have a one
Yep.
liter
Yep.
container. It's exactly 1 liter capacity.
Yep.
So you're going to use those the measuring cylinder in the box there.
Yep.
Uh, that's going to be used to measure the hardness. And then
Okay.
you're also going to use that dropper of buffer. The dropper is included, so the measurement is already in there. And you're going to add
Okay.
that into this empty bottle and then just fill it up to the top with distilled or
Okay.
deionized water.
Okay. So this is the buffer means so this is what sodium carbonate or magnesium carbonate. Which one is that?
That's sodium bicarbonate, and
Okay.
it doesn't say it on the ingredients list, but
Okay.
because this is a recent change, but I
Okay.
do actually use just a tiny bit of potassium bicarbonate as well.
Okay. Okay. So this is the buffer. Okay. And then so after people, yeah. So make sure you gotta just make sure you need to tell people, right? Blue bottle is the ready water bottle. Can you imagine if they're gonna put the regular bottle first, concentrate? It's gonna be a mess. Okay. So this
Yeah,
is the ready bottle. So this is ready to go. And after that, people is going to use the dark blue bottle. So this is the concentration, right?
yeah.
So so how many milliliter for liter you're gonna use?
You're gonna use is that the glacial?
Yeah, glacial.
Um,
Yeah,
so you're gonna use 50 milliliters of that concentrate
got it.
for one
Okay,
liter.
1 liter. Okay, and then so this gonna be give you the recipe on somewhere on your website or
Do you
how to
see
mix
that
it?
user guide card?
Yep.
Yeah, so that has a big page that has like pretty much all the information that you
Okay.
could possibly need.
Okay. So which means someone has to. Okay, so someone has to get in your website somewhere. And is on your website as well? The user guide on your website or?
Yeah, that's where it is.
Okay, good. Let me go to your website for a second here. Here we go. Here's your user guide. It's pretty simple. Okay. All right. I see it. Good. So 50. Okay. Got it. So this one lasts you what? 50
Uh,
grams. So let's see what 20
20
gallons?
liters of brew water.
Yeah.
20
20 liter.
liters. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
20 liters. Okay. So I think you're I don't know, I'm trying to think of what's the best way to approach this because I mean, if you are into espresso, the problem with the espresso users, we waste a lot of water between shots,
Yes.
right? So, I mean, this for me is makes more sense for the so how you drink your coffee in the morning? Are you the filter guy, pour over the person, or are you doing the espresso?
So here's a list of everything that I brew myself on a
Okay,
daily basis.
yeah.
I brewed dark roast,
Hmm.
um, and medium roast and medium light roasts as
Okay,
espresso.
okay.
Um, and from all of those coffees, I make milk drinks as well. So
Hmm.
basically, any roast in existence, I will I will brew that as espresso
Hmm.
to drink straight. Then for my milk drinks, I'll brew all roasts as espresso, um, except for ultra light roasts and like
Okay,
fairly light roasts. So anything that's not a really light roast, I'll use that for espresso to make milk drinks. These
got it.
days, I mostly brew espresso. That said, in the grand scheme of things, I have brewed a lot more filter coffee than
Okay.
espresso. So for filter coffee, I like to brew generally the absolute
Hmm.
lightest roasts.
Okay. So, who's your favorite nowadays?
Um, when I kind of got back into coffee after
Hmm.
kind of taking a diversion with tea, I started with Tim Wendelbo,
Okay.
and his roasts might still be my favorite, but I also really enjoy Hydrangea, Bots, who else? I had a really good coffee from HNS,
Okay. Good.
um, and there's some other ones. Oh, Say, of course. I was on like a two consecutive 6 month subscriptions of Say. So
Okay.
I've brewed a lot of Say.
Okay, I'm glad you didn't say Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts. That's good. That's a good start there. All right. Okay. By the way, so you have three small bottles here. So I understand about the Spring and Glacier,
Yeah.
but it's tiny bottle.
So that is the extraction booster.
Okay.
Um, and again, same disclaimer there. I'm not stating that it actually extracts because I'm not a
Okay.
chemist and I can't make that
Okay.
claim. However, what I have noticed is that it seems to increase the flavor definition,
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, it is kind of an intense concentrate. So
Okay.
it's a very situational tool that some people prefer to use only in like the last pour or last
Mm-hmm.
couple pours of a pour over. So let's say you're brewing like a 4 or 5 pour pour over. You'll brew like the first uh, 3 or 4 pours with just the regular water, and then you'll add like the zero point 0.5 to your kettle, zero point 0.5 milliliter to your kettle, swirl it around, and then do your last pour with that. And some people say that that brings out more sweetness or more just like more pop in the flavor.
Okay. Oh, interesting.
But there's like different ways to use it. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't like to advise that you just add that to the brew water.
Mm-hmm.
I like to think of that as like an active tool that you use intentionally at certain times.
Okay. So it comes to, let's say, light roast coffee. What do you recommend? People start with Glacier or Spring?
Um, I always recommend to just start with glacial
Okay.
since that's just like the most popular profile overall.
Okay. So you're gonna people just buy the Glacier instead?
Um, Well,
Or
the way this
mhm,
bundle is set up is so that it's like too good of a value to pass up. So
okay,
you get both the glacial and the
Spring.
spring for basically the price of just one or the other.
Got it. Yeah,
So
yeah. I see
you
that.
might,
Yeah.
yeah, like you might try both and really like both and want to get both later, or you might try both and only like one, and then in the future you just restock one.
Yeah. So this is what, $40 setup? 49 bucks or $40 setup?
The one that you have there is $39
Wow.
because it
Okay.
doesn't include the silica.
Okay. Okay. Can you tell me about Silica? Okay, what's Silica do?
Yeah. So silica, first of all, comes in two forms, or at
Okay.
least two forms that I know of. The first form is the dissolved form that you find in something like Fiji water.
Okay.
Um, Now, in my opinion, that's a really special thing.
Okay.
It's the smoothest form of silica,
Hmm.
um, and it seems to kind of enhance the aftertaste and kind of just elongate the finish.
Okay.
So it adds a little bit of sweetness as well. So it all around it makes like a thick, sweet, long-lasting flavor and kind of mouthfeel. So what I use in my water, because
Uh-huh.
it's not actually possible to concentrate silica to that extent,
Okay.
is I'm using the nanoparticle form of silica, which is
Okay.
like it's like a suspension. So if you look at a silica concentrate, then it looks like kind of milky white, um,
Okay.
kind of a shimmery milky white, and that's what I'm using in empirical water.
Okay. So that's the silica. That's under the bottle, right? Has a silica on it.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the what? So that's the concentration form. So you use what? 50 milliliter or whatever.
You would use the same amount of the silica version of the concentrate as you would the non-silica version. The only
Okay.
difference is that that hardness concentrate includes that silica, so it
Hmm.
kind of gets added automatically, and you don't have to
Okay.
do anything.
I got it. Okay. So you just do what? So if I'm doing the glacier, so 50 liter for the every liter, right?
Yeah,
Okay. All right. So that's what is a additional $10 more for that.
yeah, and that
Okay.
includes silica in both the spring
Yeah.
and the glacial concentrate.
I see. Okay, so you add it to it. Okay, I got it. I know people are wondering, why it's so expensive, but you know, the first part, first when Arby reached out to me a couple weeks ago, and talk about his water, and I went to his website, and it's pretty pricey. Don't get me wrong, it's not a cheap options, but I realized there's all glass. Okay, he sent you the actual glass bottle. The fact is, I just bought some glass bottle from Amazon the other day. So I bought two bottles of glass bottle, cost me $20. Okay. I don't know. I bet you I can find a better place for cheaper price, but it cost me $20 for two bottles. I mean, I'll be sending you full bottles of actual glass bottle. I mean, this is pretty cool, by the way. Okay. Yeah.
Thanks.
I mean,
Yeah,
go
I know
ahead.
that it's nice that I'm providing the glass bottles, but I want to uh, make it super clear that that's not where um, the price is going to. I have my sources that I get
Hmm.
locally,
Okay.
so I end up not having to pay too much for the glass bottles.
Yeah.
Although, yeah, they are really nice, and
Yeah.
that was part of my initial vision for how I
Hmm.
wanted to present the water. Um, that said, the price is mostly for the effort that goes into making the water. This isn't
That's right.
something where um, you just measure the minerals and then you put
Yeah.
it in water and then it's
Yeah.
done. That's like every other water out
Hmm.
there. What I'm doing is I'm basically like emulating the natural process for
Hmm.
dissolving limestone,
Yep.
and the way I'm doing that is by adding my minerals, including calcium carbonate, which is the which is the form of calcium that
Okay.
basically sets my water apart. And so I'm using a keg, like a carbonation system, to dissolve the calcium carbonate at
Hmm.
pressure using carbon dioxide, which forms carbonic acid, and the carbonic acid dissolves the calcium carbonate. And that process takes a couple of days with manual agitation, which I have to do myself.
Okay.
And once I check that everything is dissolved, um, and by the way, if it's not 100% dissolved, like if it,
Hmm.
even if it's like 99% dissolved, that 1% that isn't dissolved, like floats around like a suspension of chalk, and
Okay.
that chalk is like it makes everything taste bland. It like
Okay.
blocks your taste buds and just totally ruins the water. So it's like a very exact, specific, labor intensive process that I've put a lot of work into, and that is why I charge the prices that I do. It's because it takes
Okay.
a lot of work to make. And at the end of that process, then I have to actually remove the CO2,
Hmm.
and that requires another 20 minutes of
Okay.
manual agitation.
So you
Or
have
sorry, not manual agitation. I meant electric
sure.
agitation.
And that you produce this one what through you have a manufacturing facilities or you have a kitchen somewhere or are you doing from your garage or where? I mean,
I do a lot of my like packaging and
mhm,
storage and stuff in the garage.
okay.
But as for like the water stuff,
Uh-huh.
that's that's a part of my kitchen that I've repurposed for empirical water.
Okay. Excellent. So you are based in LA and
Yeah,
are you shipped internationally as well
yeah.
or just US only?
No, I ship anywhere that customs will accept it. So for example, like Thailand and Indonesia,
Hmm.
they don't accept my packages, but
Okay.
generally internationally I do ship, yeah.
Okay. What about UK?
Yep.
EU, your EU, European Union country, you ship it out as well. But
Yeah,
again, I
I do.
mean, the thing about it, so this is a big box, by the way. Okay, I mean, people, I know some people are watching from internationally right now. Man, the shipping cost is going to be fortune. I bet the shipping cost is more than actual this cost. So,
For
I mean,
that, it is, yes. That said, it's cheaper to get the concentrates only rather than that bundle.
that's right.
Um, because the when you're getting the concentrates only, the shipping price is only like $19.
Okay,
Because I don't have to include the,
that's right.
ready brew
Yep,
water.
that's right. So by the way, so this package, $39, but Arby including the shipping as well, so you don't have to pay shipping on it. So that's, I mean, that's pretty good. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, shipping is at least, $10 for shipping anyway. In reality, you're gonna pay what, $30 for full glass bottle with 3 bottles of eye drop thing, and this measuring stick thing here as well, measuring, device. So how come you have two? We got the
So
one for 50 milliliter and one for let's say 100.
So the reason for that is that when you're using the glacial,
Mm-hmm.
you want to measure 50 milliliters, but
Yep.
when you're using the spring, then you want to measure 100
10.
milliliters.
Oh,
So
100 for
it's just
the
a matter of convenience.
got it. Point, okay, 1.5. Okay. Okay, I got it. Okay, 1 to 1. Okay, is that 1 to 1 for glacier? 1.1 is represent 100.
No, that's just the version number.
Okay,
So that's the very first version of spring that I've released.
I got it. Okay, so spring for the 100 and glacier for the 50. How many drops of buffer?
Um, so that's measured in milliliters. So it has a
Okay.
measurement on the dropper tip. So
Ah,
for the
I
glacial,
see.
it's 0.5 milliliters, and
Okay.
then for the spring, it's going to be 1 full milliliter.
Yep, got it. Okay, so pretty much you double that. It's
Yeah,
pretty cool though. I mean, as you can see, with this dropper has the numbering system on it, as you can see. Man, you did a lot of work into it. This is
yeah.
pretty cool.
It is a lot of work. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's pretty good. How's the business been? You been doing a lot of sales, or what's going on?
No, I don't think ever once in my life I've done a lot of sales. That
Okay.
said, I am happy. Like the reason I started doing this is because the people that I was sending my water out to
Hmm.
in the tea discords that I was involved
Okay.
in were like, "Hey, man, this water is so good that it's like better than anything else that I've ever tried."
Okay.
So they were like, "If you start selling this, like I will buy it." And it was only like a handful of people, but
Okay.
those people ended up becoming my customers and kind of helped me, make some sales initially once until I would figure out how to bring in more customers, especially from the coffee world, which is
Okay.
really where there's more of a market for that sort of thing.
Okay. So what is your brewing method for pour over? Which brewer are you even using?
It kind of depends on the coffee, but in general, I like to use very small flat bottom brewers. So
Okay.
that's either the I don't know how you say it. Is it the Oreo or Orea?
Oreo. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, you're gonna use
The
Oreo.
Orea, yeah,
Yep.
I like to use the V3, the
Yep.
155 option.
Okay.
And then that's for like really light roasts. If I'm brewing
Okay.
something that is like not an ultra light roast,
Mm-hmm.
then I'll brew in porcelain or ceramic or whatever.
Okay.
So that's like the 90 plus origami cone, and
Okay.
that's my preferred brewer for Tim Wendelboe coffees and
Okay.
anything that's a little bit darker than that.
Uh, which grinder setup you have at home?
My filter grinder is a one Zpresso ZP6.
Okay, you got the easy press there. And what about espresso grinder?
My espresso grinder is two manual grinders, Kin Grinder K4
Okay.
for the darker roast,
Okay.
and Kin Grinder K6 for really light roasts.
So you're doing the hand grind for your
Yeah,
espresso.
I don't have money for an electric grinder.
Okay, come on. Okay, the thing is, yeah, you need to upgrade your setup for sure. You are selling water, by the way. Okay, you are selling water. Just make sure you need to come up with some good recipes. Okay, all right.
I
Well, I
have
mean,
a
yeah.
I have a pour over recipe.
Okay,
So it's like five pours,
okay.
very low agitation. Um, and I mean, I can get into the details if you want to brew a pour over.
So here's what I'm gonna do. Okay, coming week. Okay, I'm gonna use your ready brew water. Okay, and
Yeah.
then I have another kettle set up for my holy water. All right. And then we're gonna go head to head. All right, your
Okay.
empirical water versus holy water.
Okay.
Okay, and then let's find out what's the difference between your water versus my water. It's not my water. It's the somebody. I don't know who come up with the holy water. I think I learned from Barista Hustle or somewhere. But
Is that Epsom salt and baking soda?
yeah, that's pretty much it. That's yeah, pretty much it. Yeah, and so which one should I? So you want me to? I think I should go with the glaciers first, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good.
And we do have some questions. So
Go
while
ahead.
you're getting that brew set up, I want to go through and just answer the questions.
No, no,
Um,
I'm gonna do the setup coming. I'm not gonna do it today, but yeah, definitely gonna do the coming week as well.
oh, okay.
Okay.
Or do
Yeah.
you think we're gonna brew live?
When coming week?
Yeah, whenever you're gonna brew.
Yeah. So I'm gonna do the definitely doing the live streaming. Oh, you wanna pop in for that, Arby?
Sure. I mean, whenever you're gonna brew with it. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter to me, but it would be cool.
Yeah. Why don't you pop in? I'm gonna let you know. It's gonna be sometime next week. It should be interesting. Okay. And yeah, I cannot wait to. Uh, and because I think let's do Oreo too. I have a Oreo V3 here. I got two sets. I got two sets of Oreo, so let's brew that. We're gonna do side by side. It's gonna be interesting, because again, I mean, people doesn't want to mix themselves. Lotus water or third wave or perfect water is a good option. They don't want to do the work. But since if you want to do the work, you know what? Just by all means, just buy yourself all the minerals, mix yourself. Okay, but that's kind of like try and error. So, how
Yeah.
long did you research to come up with this water recipe?
I've been working on water as
Uh-huh.
my main sort of sub hobby in the grand
Okay.
scheme of coffee and tea
Mhm.
for the last like 7 years or so. Pretty
Okay.
much as soon as I started out with brewing
Okay.
coffee and tea, it was just super obvious that water is
Mhm.
like really impactful.
Mhm.
And there was really no time during the last 7 years where I wasn't
Okay.
actively working on water. So that glacial profile, that's
Yeah.
like a long evolution of a lot of different, you know, a lot of trial and error. Um, as for the spring profile, that's
Yeah.
actually that is a very lucky, like the fact that that even exists right now is just um it's extremely improbable. What happened
Okay.
was that someone who had been following my work
Mhm.
um and kind of knew about my obsession with naturally occurring mineral water.
Okay.
He went to the store and he bought a bunch of different bottled waters from like springs and aquifers,
Okay.
and he mixed those together. And um, the result is basically that. Like he pretty much gave me his recipe
Okay.
for the bottled waters. I mixed those bottled waters together. I sent them to a lab to get it analyzed, and then I brought those results back home and recreated the recipe from scratch. So that's what that is. So that one didn't require any effort on my
Okay.
part, but the glacial profile is the one that I've worked on for years and years and years.
Okay. So let me ask you, what's the difference between your glacier and versus glacier with silica?
Um,
How
so
much difference in taste?
so the taste is not that different. The main
Okay.
difference is in the body and the aftertaste. It's like
Body and after the.
how it like lingers in the finish.
Okay. Really? Yeah. Yeah. You need to send me that one. Okay. Send me that one when you can, because yeah, because I want to experience the silica experience as well. But again, so I definitely brew side by side, and I'm gonna let you know. Okay, it'll be a very interesting video for sure. Hold on a second. We have any questions for?
Oh
Hold
yeah.
on. Yeah. Let's take a look. We got some. Okay, let's start from the bottom. You got Tom said, "What water should I use for nice silver needle tea?" Yeah. So Tom has tea question for you.
Um, so it kind of depends where you're based. If you're looking, I'm not sure if I should recommend my own water. Um, uh, I struggle with this kind of ambiguity.
Hmm.
Um, I guess if you want to buy something like off the shelf at a supermarket, then look for Origin. I like Origin for any kind of tea that has top notes where you want to experience the
Hmm.
aromatics. I really like Origin. It used to be called Poland Spring Origin. Now it's just called Origin, and I find it pretty sweet. Between my two waters. Oh, that's a tough one. It's been a while since I brewed white tea. Actually, here's the thing. Um, I always thought that my glacial profile would be better for teas that have a lot of top notes and aromatics,
Hmm.
and then the spring profile would be better for something that where the strength is mainly just like the richness and the body. Um, but what happened recently was I started brewing Chinese green teas again, and I found that the spring was like way better than the glacial. And like to me, it makes no sense. I don't understand it, but that's just like my whole family has been loving the spring for green tea. Now I know you said that um, you're looking for water for a nice silver needle tea. Um, that's the thing. I haven't had silver needle in a long time, so it's a tough one. I guess just go for the bundle because it includes both, and you can try both for basically the price of one, unless you're not in the US. So maybe I have to buy some silver needle and see which one is better.
So hey, RB, right now you only have two profiles, right? You have a glacier and you have spring.
Yeah.
Are
Well,
you
I have
planning
two
on?
other ones in the works.
Okay.
So there's one called Snowmelt. Okay, so
Okay.
here's how it goes.
Okay.
Snowmelt is very low TDS,
Okay.
then Glacial is like medium light TDS,
Okay.
and then Spring is like medium heavy TDS,
Okay.
and then Aquifer is like really high TDS. And Snowmelt and Aquifer aren't like ready for ready for consumer yet.
Okay.
Um, so those are still in the works, and I'm still figuring out what I want to do with those.
Okay. All right. So it'd be interesting to come up with a different profile for sure. I mean, this thing is, I mean, like perfect water, right? Perfect water only has one profile. And then third wave water has what, two, right? Medium, well, light roast and dark roast coffee. Yeah, pretty
Yeah,
much two. Yeah. So I
and
mean,
I
you have a
forgot to
two.
mention,
Go ahead.
yeah, I didn't mention that using each one of those concentrate sets, you can you can build the water for light roast coffee, medium
Mhm.
roast coffee, dark roast coffee, tea, or espresso.
How are you gonna do
And
that?
that goes for both profiles. So what I like to do is I like to keep the hardness concentrate the same amount for each, and
Okay.
then I change the amount of buffer
Uh-huh.
to suit the different coffee and tea types.
Huh. So is on your website as well?
So
The
if you go to that link to the
yep,
user guide,
yep.
all of that is there. Yeah,
Okay. So because I'm looking at the user guide right now. Okay, good. Alrighty. Sounds like plan, buddy. Sounds really good. And so I'm gonna have you on next week or so. Let's brew some coffee with it, side by side, and let's find out how good your coffee water is. Okay, I'm very curious.
cool. I'm
Yeah, I
looking
cannot wait.
forward to it.
All right, Arby. Hey, thank you so much. By the way, is anybody teach you when you're growing up? Your name was Arby.
Sorry, what was the question?
Is there anybody teach you about your name?
Oh, they used to say Arby Barbie.
Okay. Ah, okay. Arby.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think I'm unbelievable, or maybe the kids around me were just nice. I always
Okay.
thought it was funny. So,
Yeah,
um,
Arby is a great name,
yeah,
by the way.
whatever.
I mean, if you're into fast food,
Thanks.
but yeah.
I've tried it once. I didn't really
Hmm.
like the food, but I did like the um, orange creamsicle shake thing.
Oh man,
It's
Arby
like an
is
ice cream shake. It was good.
man. When I was in college, they have the roast beef sandwich for $1 way back when. So five for five. Back then, that was amazing with the Arby sauce. Man, man, great,
So we
great
have
time.
one unanswered question here, which is
Okay, go
what
ahead.
is the expiry date of the products? So what I write on the bottles as the
Yeah,
expiration
I see
date,
that. Yep, yep,
um,
right here.
so it says right here, that's this number here is always going to be 6 months after the date of the decarbonation of the batch,
Okay,
which is when I remove the carbon
okay.
dioxide from the water.
Mm.
So I've had people keep the water up to around 14 months, and apparently it still tasted fresh. But like I'm hesitant to put that insane of a length of an expiration
No,
date
I mean,
just
yeah,
because, So I like to write 6 months just to be extra safe.
I know. But I mean, most people are going to use it right away anyway. So I don't. Yeah, I don't see that. I mean, that's the concern. I don't think people is going to live there for a year. But
Yeah,
I'm glad. I mean, you use the glass bottle. That's fantastic. Hey, hey, thank you so much for joining us this morning. And I'm gonna see you next
thank
week.
you.
Okay. All right, Arby.
Okay, thanks for having me.
Okay. This is Arby from Empirical Water, and yeah, I cannot wait to start brewing with his water. And also, we're gonna do the live demonstration next week for you guys as well. All right, guys. See you
Cool.
guys next time.